Katie and I are always hungry, and one snack we both love is beef jerky. That's why we're so excited to tell you about one of our favorite jerky brands, Matt Hat Jerky.
Matt Hat's delicious taste makes it a great snack, and the variety of flavors, including original, black truffle, and my personal favorite, roasted garlic, means there's a flavor for everyone. Plus, it's local to the area where we grew up in, which we just love.
Use the link in the show notes below to get some Matt Hat Jerky for yourself, and make sure to use our coupon code SistersAssembled for 10% off. Hello and welcome to Sisters Assembled, your home for all things MCU. And as you know, if you've been following us the last couple months, we just wrapped up our coverage for X-Men 97 Season 2, but just in time for another big moment in the Marvel calendar, which doesn't happen every year, but this year it did happen. So D23 took place this past weekend, and there were lots and lots, or at least really three big things coming out of Marvel's, I guess you would call it a panel, Marvel section of D23, we'll say. So, to kick things off, Katie, why don't you start with VisionQuest? We'll work our way up to the biggest one.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So we did get our official trailer for VisionQuest. We kind of have a better concept now of what this show is going to be about, because I actually don't know. Did they release a date for it?
Yes, October 14th.
Okay, I was going to say, I felt like I saw October, and now I've totally blanked on whether or not we had a date. So we also have a date for it officially. And now we can kind of start to conceptualize what VisionQuest, which is technically the third installment of the WandaVision kind of era of shows, and what is, been pretty much said to be the last one, what it's going to be about, what we're going to expect. Obviously, we are seeing some maybe not so friendly faces return. We're seeing friendly faces return, or actually have a face that they didn't have before. So it looks really interesting. It looks like we're going to get something a little different than I think we've gotten in some of our past shows.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's going to be a little bit more cerebral, which is kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a decent portion of the show takes place in Vision's, for lack of better term, mind palace, which is a really gorgeous house. We've got Ultron back, which is super interesting, which is what Katie was alluding to. And then, of course, some of the AI and robots that Tony has created over the years are getting physical forms as well in that kind of mind palace area. But the other big thing that we're, of course, getting in this show, or has been heavily rumored, borderline confirmed. I actually don't know. Did we ever confirm Speed for this show? Either way, he's in the trailer, so he's confirmed now.
I was like, he is now.
Yeah, so but it's our first time seeing him in the role, which is really exciting. So of course that's Tommy Maximoff, after his brother was introduced in the second installment. So just in time for maybe some Champions post Secret Wars, we'll see. But that's the other thing that really stuck out to me, I think, in this trailer, was kind of seeing him in this role for the first time. The only other thing being kind of they're interacting more than I think I thought they I guess what I'm trying to say is Vision, I think, finds Tommy, or vice versa, more earlier, it seems like, from the trailer than I think I would have expected. I think I kind of assumed it would be kind of Vision going through this experience of trying to rectify kind of everything that's happened to him, decide who he is, what parts of Vision he wants to, take forward into this life that's really all his own. And then Tommy kind of comes in. But here, based on the trailer, that almost kind of hints that I think Tommy's going to be kind of along for that journey, which I think is going to be really, really interesting, because we didn't get to see Billy kind of have a similar moment with their mom. So that was the other thing that kind of, I was like, oh, this is interesting and not what I expected, in a good way.
I think it makes a lot of sense, though, if we're talking about the fact that where we left Vision as White Vision, he had no emotions, right? He was at the point where he was cold, hard facts. He had all of his memories, but he didn't really feel the emotions that were behind them. It was no longer in his programming to feel that way. That being said, I think having Tommy, of all people, this son that shouldn't have really ever existed, yet managed to become an actual being beyond just the soul that was created by Wanda, I think him being along for the journey makes a lot of sense, and actually is what will likely to me humanize Vision, because where we currently, at least putting aside the fact that this mind palace exists and everything else, his physical body and where he is from what we've last interacted with is not the Vision we know at all. And if we're going to have him kind of continue his story, which obviously I assume that's where they want him to go, they want to keep Vision around, he needs to come back with some sort of a human element to him. So I actually think it makes a lot of sense that Tommy is in this earlier than anticipated, just because I think that's the only way to remind him of really who Vision was, as the closest thing to human, I guess, he ever could be, if that makes sense.
It totally does. And I think it's interesting too, because I think the shots in Scotland in the bar, which obviously we know that Vision and Wanda that's where they were meeting when they, during that kind of era between Civil War and Infinity War, Cap's Nomad era, of course. That's where they were having their secret meetings. We see that at the very beginning of Infinity War when they're attacked by the Black Order. It's interesting that even though he doesn't share some of those emotions, there's a part of him that goes back there. Like, he could have seen that memory and been like, okay, cool. Like, I spent some time in Scotland, but clearly there's something that some sort of attachment that he feels to either Vision or somewhat maybe a Vision's emotion side of those memories, because he chooses to kind of live a quasi remembrance of that life. So it'll be really interesting to watch, to your point, kind of that evolution of him learning how to attach emotions to memories and feel again, and really form attachments to people that are maybe not living inside his head.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the premise seems really cool. I think obviously it's one of those that until we're covering it in October, I don't know if we'll know anything more about if it's going to really be good. And not because I don't think that Vision is an interesting character, or obviously we love Paul Bettany. Like, that's not to say anything against him. It just shows our hit or miss at Disney. So far we've been pretty good, I think, with the WandaVision and then Agatha all along parts of this story, and I'm hoping we close out strong. I think the big thing actually for me is where this show is going to take us. You kind of mentioned Tommy's future and what that is kind of expected, obviously, because we had his brother 2 years ago already, and Agatha all along. I was like, wait a second, that was not last year. But, I mentioned too, obviously they're going to want to bring Vision back onto the board. That's part of that. But we also have a missing Scarlet Witch. And I say missing, guys. She's not dead. No. Lots of rumors flying, though, about her involvement in Doomsday. So it's kind of a little curious, the timing, in my opinion, as well, of that she could be coming back onto the board. Both of her sons are alive. And I'm going to assume we end this show with Vision coming back also online.
Yeah. It'll be really fun to see if we get, and I don't know where this would fit in. It wouldn't be a Doomsday, but at some point down the line, maybe even if it is a moment in the Champions, to get like a little WandaVision family reunion, I think could be really cool. I would be something that I would enjoy for sure. And I think it's more on the Young Avengers side, not the Champions, but there are some storylines. I think we've covered this in the past with Wanda. What is it? The Children's Brigade, I want to call it.
I think
Crusade,
so.
Children's Crusade, something along those lines.
The Crusade sounds right.
Yeah. So it maybe, it might end up being that they go with one of those storylines. So she naturally fits in the story anyway and is, playing a part there. We know nothing, or even if that show is ever going to movie is ever going to get off the ground, but just some potential, interesting places to story mine for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for it. So
yeah, for sure. I've been waiting for this one for a while, and I think it'll be nice to kind of close this era, not in like I just want it to be over, but in to your point, these have been pretty consistently impressive shows and well done. So I'm kind of ready to just see what the end of the Vision is.
Yes.
Pun intended.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I think, we started the saga with WandaVision. We're going to essentially be ending it with a WandaVision-esque or in relation TV show. So I'm fine with that. I want to see how they kind of bookend it all and finish that story that we've been telling for 5 years now.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. I know.
All right. Like I said, we're going to work our way up to the biggest one, the one that got the most attention. But the next one is also coming up this year, which is new Doomsday footage. And it's only somewhat new because if you didn't watch the leaks, then this is the same footage that was shown at SDCC, which we were, as we've mentioned, we're not in the room, but we saw all the leaks. So this is just the official release of that trailer. Look, I think it looks really good. It's definitely got me really hype. I don't know that it helps me understand a ton what the movie's. I mean, there's some level of like helping you understand what the movie's about in terms of, what is Doom's motivation, but I think that the question still remains of, who really is responsible for whatever happened to his family and his, what we're all guessing, his timeline. Loki comes up, Cap comes up as a big one. Who's the other one that's like, there's like big three who are the culprits?
Thor.
Or like the Thor. Yeah, Thor comes up as one. Who are basically like the people who we all think, Doom blames for this. But it'll be interesting to see kind of at the end of the day, or Strange. Strange is the other one who really comes up a lot. At the end of the day, who kind of caused that particular incursion that really kind of set Doom on his path. But overall, I like the way it looks. And I'm hoping that, I don't know how many more trailers we're going to get. We got 4 teasers and 2 trailers already, but we still got 4 months. So I'm curious, like with more footage, kind of how much more they're going to reveal or not reveal.
I honestly hope they don't reveal almost anything else. I think we got the characters we need to have, right? You confirmed all these characters back when you did the chair reveal. We're good. We watched that last summer. You gave us the teasers that we got in like what? March, February?
No, girl,
Earlier
those were
this
like
year?
no, those weren't those like late last year. Those were like
The teasers?
holiday season. Yeah, because remember it was with Avatar. They were releasing them with Avatar and they were leaking. It was like
Anyway,
December, January.
I have no concept of time, if you guys couldn't tell. But either way, either late last year, early this year, whatever, the teasers we were getting, we confirmed all those characters. The trailers so far have confirmed all those characters. We've not seen pretty much anybody new appear. That being said, I don't want more. Don't want more. I don't want you to give me more information. I like not knowing what's going on. I do have to share this because I'm not sure where this would ever fit other than when we do the predictions episode for Doomsday in December. So I feel like I have to put it out there now. There is a theory running online that is talking about people thinking it isn't RDJ actually playing Doom.
Yes.
And I do just want to kind of talk about it because I think this trailer blew that up a lot more than that had been. Like, it gave it a little more merit than it had before. And I think that's the big thing that came out of this trailer, in my opinion. Because to what I was saying, we haven't seen new stuff, really. We saw a little bit more between, obviously, Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom. But we really didn't see anything further than some of the scenes we've honestly already seen. That being said, this theory has grown a lot more legs in the past few days since the trailer came out, or this part of the trailer came out. I like it. It's the concept that they're actually RDJ is back as Iron Man in a different, like obviously a variant of him, and we have a completely different Doctor Doom.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I also have seen kind of adjacent to this is that there's multiple Doctor Dooms because people are pointing out that there is the SDCC, and I don't know if they had this costume at D23, but there's the costume that was on display at the Marvel booth at SDCC, and he is not wearing it in all of those shots.
Right.
So there's a thought process that maybe there's multiple Doctor Dooms and that RDJ is playing one, so that they didn't just fully lie to us for the last 2 years. But that is not necessarily the Doctor Doom who will go on to be in Battle World and do all those things. The other thing that people are pointing out, and not to say that people can't wear colored colored contacts, because that's absolutely a possibility, but the eye color is blue green versus to RDJ's brown. So I like this as well. I think Katie and I have been pretty vocal about not being sure how we feel about RDJ being recast as Doom. I would love it if they actually have a Doom from a totally different actor.
Yeah.
And not have all this kind of like baggage around, for lack of better term, RDJ's face and like everything that face like means, especially to like the fans and Tony and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm actually hoping that this one is true, and I'm hoping we get more clues in that direction.
Yeah, I also kind of hope it's true, just because I think, and I say this with a lot of love, it's been a long time since Marvel's really shocked me. And if they have, it's undone very quickly. So that being said, I don't want to know a lot about Doomsday, and I want to be shocked. I want to have a moment. I want to have several moments where I'm like, oh my God. And it's not just cameo moments. Like, I want those moments of being like, are you kidding? All this stuff that I thought leading into this movie, even if it's only been from these few clips or whatever, I want to be proven wrong. I want them to have led into this for 2 years, to your point, to just turn around and kill off an RDJ Doom right away and it's somebody else or something, like I want that crazy moment. And I think this could lend itself to being that.
Yeah, it would be the craziest gotcha that we've seen in a long, long time, but a welcome one, I think, at the same time.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I think it would be a worthwhile one. So regardless if there's multiple Dooms or if it really has been that they have a variant of Iron Man walking around on set and the only way to get away with that was just to have RDJ as Doom this whole time, like, okay.
Wouldn't it be crazy if, like, so I think, here's my guess, there's like one Doom who, again, is like going to be the Doom who makes it into Battle World and all that stuff, but like there are other Victor Von Dooms, right? So what if the RDJ Doom is literally just murdered by what is going to be the real Doom?
Like, kill him off in 5 seconds, like, and we're all like, right, what away. The heck?
Yeah, that would be insane.
That's what I mean. Like, something that genuinely shocks me, like that would throw me off for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, that would be crazy. I'm like just trying to think through like how insane that would be, like, to be in the theater when that happens.
I know.
All right, before we have plenty of time to talk more Doomsday, and maybe we'll get more footage between now and when we're doing predictions in 3.5 months, we'll see, but plenty of time between now and then. We've hinted at it. There was the big one that came out this weekend, which is, of course, the casting of the X-Men. So I'm just going to go quickly down the list, and then Katie, give me some of your immediate reactions. Some of these, of course, were heavily basically confirmed beforehand, but we got some new names confirmed this weekend. So moving down the list, we got Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister, Indy Navarrete as Rogue, Maya Boyd as Storm, Christopher Abbott as Professor X, Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, and Kit Connor as Scott Summers. Of course, we already knew our Jean Grey was Sadie Sink. We've known that. Well, we've known it for officially a couple weeks, but we've known that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited. The rumor about Indy being Rogue was floating around a couple weeks ago, and then I know we covered when the rumor kind of shifted to her being Mystique.
Yeah.
I was obviously a lot more partial towards her playing Rogue. I'm glad she is Rogue. I'm excited for her. I honestly, and I said this in last week's Sister Scoop, I think the only one that right now still throws me off is Kit Connor. That is the only one that I think is throwing me off. I'm going to need to see it to believe it, kind of thing. Even the fan castings, like, not the fan castings, like the fan art, now that we've had the cast, revealed, he's the only one that still to me sticks out like a sore thumb, even wearing the Cyclops getup. Like, I'm like, I just don't quite see it yet. He has time. He has all the time in the world to redeem not even redeem himself. He doesn't have to redeem. He just has to prove to me, and I'm sure he will. I know he's a good actor. But otherwise, I'm all in for everybody else. Having Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister is a crazy pull. And I'm so happy.
It's going to be insane.
He's going to look so good. Like, I can't wait.
I know. And he brings such an intensity to his roles. And I'm excited to see that play out for Mr. Sinister
Yeah.
because he is such an interesting character. He's so driven, he's so single-minded.
He is.
And I think that just Adam, again, like his intensity will play really, really well into that character.
I agree, and I also kind of hope it indicates that Mr. Sinister is not going to be a character they're going to do once and done.
I agree.
I know you and I talked a lot about this. Gosh, a while ago. I couldn't even pinpoint you guys to when we talked about it, but we talked about bringing in Mr. Sinister, and we were like, they haven't done it yet. They have not done
Right.
Mr. Sinister, and if you watch even the animated show, he is one of the most prominent villains in the animated show. And I mean, like, original. Obviously, he makes his appearance in X-Men 97 as well, but I mean the original from the 90s. He is in a consistent amount of episodes. Consistent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, that being said, I'm hoping it going to a larger actor means that he's going to be one of those more reoccurring roles, the same way that honestly the Sentinels play a role in the story, because Mr. Sinister does play an ongoing role in the X-Men storylines. And so I'm hoping, I obviously don't know how they're going to go about this. I don't know if they're going to do, how we had two different sagas here. We had two different big bads. I don't know if they're going to plan to do something like that. We have no idea for sure how this next saga or next 10 years with the mutants is really going to play out, but I wouldn't even be against him being considered a big bad for like the first one, and then the next one we up the stakes to an apocalypse or something, and it's not like other stories aren't going to be told in between. So I'm happy though. I'm really happy, and I'm hoping that's what that indicates.
At the very least, even if he's, say the villain for this first movie, you can always bring him back in 6 or 7 years and do the Goblin Queen, for example, right? Because he plays a role there. So I do, to your point, like the idea of like we've defeated him for today, but he's not down and out completely, because he does have that's a big one that I think about, like the Goblin Queen one, but you can't do that right away. Like
No.
Jean and Scott / Scott and Madeline have to be married. Like they have to be much older. And now that we've seen Sadie, we talked about Samara and Kit basically being confirmed as of last week, even prior to this. But now we're kind of looking at the full, what they've cast to date. They're very clearly going younger. It's, to me, sounds like then they're going to go kind of more origins, even younger than what they did with the Jennifer Lawrence, cast, because that was also very, it's been a hot minute since I've seen that first one, but isn't in First Class when he establishes the school. So like there's some origins being told in that film, but I think this one we're really gonna lean into that even more. Speaking of that though, there were some notable holes, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yes.
Beast, Angel, I think typically Iceman is considered one of the first X-Men as well, kind of in that first group. So it's interesting because you have some of the OGs from the comics, and then you have someone like Rogue who maybe doesn't come in until a little later. So
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of pinpoint maybe a specific, I know they're talking about a Claremont run, but like a very specific moment where they're starting the story.
Yeah, I will just say that there is rumor that the whole Beast thing kind of fell through, because I think we covered that it was Charles Melton was supposed to be playing Beast. That seemed to be pretty confirmed, and then within probably a couple days, it seemed that he backed out of the role. So whether I don't know if we've ever actually really gotten full confirmation if that is what happened, but regardless, they might have had a Beast. They don't now, unfortunately, and I think that was only maybe last week or the week before. So if the this planning was too far gone for them to really do anything else about that. But yeah, Beast is definitely missing. There are still like a lot of rumors circulating around about Angel and the castings of Angel. I haven't heard too much about Iceman yet. But there are, I wouldn't take Beast and Angel off of the board for appearing still. Obviously to some of the others that were kind of missing. I mean, we're not seeing a Gambit yet. I wouldn't expect to see a Gambit yet. I think he'll be a little further down the road. Just one, because you do have Channing currently kind of still in that role for Doomsday, and that's still been a new introduction considering he only just started to play the role 2 years ago. But at the same time, Gambit does join later, along with the fact that they are going younger. And while I'm not entirely sure how Rogue is fitting into some of the story itself, at the end of the day, it wouldn't quite fit where they are now. So he's missing. I'm trying to think. I mean, we don't have a Wolverine, a glaring one that we don't have currently. Also, still kind of in a weird spot because of Hugh Jackman continuing to reprise his role. We don't have a Morph. I don't know if we'll have a Morph or not, but that is a character that we see pretty consistently on the team in X-Men.
Jubilee
X-Men 97
as well.
Jubilee, yeah, that's what I mean. So there are still a few notable people missing. One of the bigger ones too, we don't have a Magneto. So like this isn't it. Overall, like we know there will be a few more names, so it'll be kind of just interesting to see if those last few pieces are gonna I think the last few pieces are gonna confirm one way or another if we're going like super OG team or if we're going like kind of more the team that we're used to knowing.
Yeah, like from the animated series.
Yeah.
You brought up Rogue, and I want to talk about kind of the conversation around her right now, because she in particular has a very specific storyline that for the first time ever in live action is very possible to bring to life. So if you guys don't remember, I believe this was covered in the OG animated series, but
Correct.
the reason that she is so strong and is able to fly is because she actually absorbs Captain Marvel's powers, so Carol Danvers. And I think it's been a while since I've watched the show, but doesn't she absorb Carol like completely?
I believe so, because I think she goes through a phase where she literally is battling because she can hear Carol in her mind.
That's what I thought, that like Carol's like soul or essence or whatever you want to call it is like living inside her. So as we mentioned, this is the first time this is possible. For the longest time, we had Brie Larson's Captain Marvel sitting over here in the MCU doing her thing, making Thanos quake in his boots. Then we had, well, we didn't have Rogue in the newest version, but we had Anna Paquin's Rogue, who was written. She was there. No shade to Anna. That was just a really transparently poorly written character.
Correct.
And, literally a tenth of the level of character that Rogue actually has.
They pretty much had her with white stripes and a girl that had Rogue's initial mutant power set, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, she was stripped of all of her personality, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. So now that we have Indy Navarrete, we've got Brie Larson all under the same banner. A lot of people are really hoping we get that. I know something that Katie and I have been talking about a lot is because of the way that Captain Marvel has been received, Brie doesn't really seem like she's super enthused about continuing to play the character. Understandably, she wasn't. I mean, I liked some of the stuff she was in. She wasn't received super warmly by portions of the fandom. So it could be a really interesting way to kind of sunset that character by basically having Rogue low-key kind of take her over.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think even when we did the replay, we went back and said, hey, this movie isn't as bad as we remember it being. It was just unfortunately released in between the two biggest movies that Marvel was going to put out.
You mean the OG Captain Marvel, right?
Yes.
And also justice for the Marvels, which was, I was going to say,
we liked the Marvels.
Good now.
We liked the Marvels. Go ahead and listen to our reactions. We had a great time watching that movie. That all being said, it has nothing to do with her as an actress as a whole, but they have not had a clear direction with Carol Danvers since they brought her in. Her purpose of being brought in was to be a powerful force in Endgame. Mm-hmm. That is her purpose. So they had to give her a movie, and the movie wasn't that bad. It just was poorly placed. And then they never knew what to do with her beyond that. And I know T and I talked a lot about there are a lot of characters that get OP'd in the MCU. The problem with that is once Marvel OPs them in the MCU, they do not know what to do with them. They did it to Thor, where they nerfed him again because they OP'd him in Ragnarok. They did it to Wanda because they had to kill her supposedly, in order to shut her down because they didn't, and make her a villain because they didn't know what to do with a character that is just that inherently powerful. Carol is another one that is just that inherently powerful, to the point where, as of now, to our knowledge, she is not in Doomsday. She is not even in the next saga's final final 2 blockbusters, to our knowledge. Obviously, if she makes an appearance, cool, but she is not confirmed in this movie. She's not even in it. So it's like, I do think, unfortunately, they don't have a direction with this character at all. Financially, I don't think she's performed for them, and that's not me saying that to say anything. That's a fact. I don't think she's been performing well for them, her sequel movie. And so you do have the ability to kind of take her off the board in a way that's also comic book accurate, which is unheard of. I mean, you're not going to also have a rogue that is that, like, you're not going to have another Anna equivalent of a rogue for long, where they don't give her the ability to fly, her super strength, all of that. They're not going to keep that away from her. That is Rogue at this point. That is her character. I mean, how much of the comics at this point is Rogue prior to her absorbing Captain? Well, I believe she's Miss Marvel in the comics.
Oh, yeah. At the time, I don't think she was.
Yeah, she wasn't.
I think she takes on the Captain Marvel mantle at some point, but I think at the time that she's absorbed, she's Miss Marvel.
Yes. But either way, they're not going to keep her like that for long. I am going to say this is also opening an interesting topic, though, about OP'd characters, because you have a lot of mutants that are OP'd. What are you going to do? And Rogue
look at Jean Grey.
I mean, you have Jean Grey, you have Storm. I'm not saying Rogue is in that same conversation. She's not an Omega level threat in that capacity, but she's still a very powerful character, especially because
anybody in that Omega level classification is
yes.
What are the Avengers going to realistically do against them? Let's be honest.
Right. So that being said, I do think, it's the best way to probably sunset the character while moving into the next phase. I mean, am I expecting them to finish a Captain Marvel trilogy? No. Especially during the Mutant Saga? No. So that being said, I mean, what's her future? It's kind of unclear. And I think that being said, it's just probably easier. And again, you can't really leave Rogue without it for too long.
Yeah. Right. I also just think, there's a part of me that wonders if putting the Marvels, that film together the way they did, was kind of her almost passing the mantle, because obviously you have Ms. Marvel, who, while their power set is different, she is, Carol's her hero. That's why she calls herself Ms. Marvel. So you have her, you have Monica, who from a powers perspective does have more similar powers to Carol, so can kind of maybe fulfill some of that space, very powerful being shoes that taking Carol off the board would do. So it's almost like you have Kamala taking the name, you have Monica taking the powers. You kind of split Captain Marvel in two, but you've given the opportunity to tell similar stories, or interesting stories still, while taking her off the board.
Yeah, I mean, she essentially already has built-in successors.
There you go. That was a much better way of putting what I was really struggling to verbalize.
Yeah, well, but she does, and I think unfortunately this character has not had much direction. Even in her, again, we like the Marvels, but even the Marvels ended up being a plot to move forward the multiverse saga that was already stalled. That being said, and honestly, I'd like to see that storyline come to life. I think you have the ability to actually explore characters in a way you didn't before, in the way that Fox never did. Let's give them more of their origins. Rogue is at one point, not a villain. I'm going to call her just a bad guy. She gets in with the wrong crowd, essentially.
I mean, Mystique's her mom, her adoptive mother, so.
Right. But that's what I mean. She gets in with the wrong crowd and, is kind of doing bad things. That's when the whole thing happens with Miss Marvel. I'm actually pretty sure that's one of the big turning points for her, into kind of being like, this isn't what I want to be doing with my life. But that being said, you can tell that origin. You can tell more of you gave us a Jean Grey kind of sort of origin. You can tell us a little bit more of this, the Scott or the Summers brothers origin. There is more ability to play with this now, and I'd like to see it if you can.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so excited. I can't wait for whatever additional names are going to add and
I know.
synopses to start coming and first artwork and trailers. Oh,
I know.
Oh, and we have a date. Is it 5/8/28?
Yes. It's my birthday movie this year, guys. I'm so excited. Those May releases are so good. Oh, yeah. Sorry. May releases are so good, though.
Yes,
always.
Yes. They are usually like heading into that holiday weekend, that Memorial Day holiday weekend. They're usually pretty strong. So excited. I think that'll be really fun. Yeah, good stuff. We all kind of knew this was coming, especially after SDCC, but I'm glad that they actually met and exceeded our expectations on this one. So very pumped.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, those were the big topics coming out of D23 this week. Super, super good stuff. A little bit on the rest of the year and a little bit in the far future, which is always nice to see things start to come together. You can make sure that you're following on your podcast platform of choice as we're going to continue to cover just all things Marvel, the content that's coming out for the rest of the year. You name it, we're on it. And you can check out our website and our Buy Me a Coffee, both of which are linked in the show notes below.
You guys can also give us a follow on all of our socials, which are linked in the show notes down below as well. And make sure you guys are keeping us up with us. I can't talk today. Make sure you guys are keeping up with us next week as we take on more Marvel-related topics as we always do. Mainly because I don't remember what's next week. I think
it's a Spider-Man related episode.
Yes, it is. It's a Spider-Man related episode. I'm glad I didn't say what I thought it was because I didn't think that was next week yet, but I was like unsure. We do have a Spider-Man Brand New Day related episode coming at you because we weren't really able to break out some of the bigger things in it, mainly because we were also covering X-Men 97 at the same time. So we are going back to X-Men, or no, we're not. We're going back to Spider-Man Brand New Day. Okay, I'm just going to end this. Make sure you guys are listening to us next week as we come at you with a new episode. As always, Marvel just blew your mind, so let's talk about it.